Okay, good morning, everyone. And let's see, I see that there have been some problems with some of you on the docking using Autodock tools. There have been crashes, but what we'll try and do today is we'll try and see if we can't have some strategies to get around some of the problems you've been having. Okay, so certainly it doesn't work perfectly, and on everyone's different system, we have to have a slightly different strategy to get things to work. But I'm hoping that towards the end of this, you're not going to be frightened to use a cluster and to use a command line to do some of these tasks, because the command line always works, and we can simply by typing commands at the cluster, we can do all the tasks that we've been doing in Autodock tools, except perhaps visualizing what we have. Okay, so last time I told you a little bit about KNIME, K-N-I-M-E, and KNIME really is fantastic. You can, if you've got lots of docking to do, instead of working one by one with Autodock tools, you can have 100. So you have 100 and you can do docking. As in previous years, in the actual course, one of the tasks has been to do a docking using the KNIME workspace, and people have enjoyed using KNIME for that. So if you like data, I really encourage you to explore KNIME. But of course, when you do molecular docking, the docking software, of course, is going to have its own scoring function. It's going to say, this is a good docking. Okay, and if you use another piece of docking software, it will provide a docking and it'll say, this is absolutely energy of docking. And so you might want to have an independent view. And there's a lovely tool called Xscore. Xscore is not a docking program at all. It's just for scoring. So if you've got a ligand and a protein, a ligand pose and a protein pose, it scores it. And so what it is good to do is, yes, you're docking, you may dock several ligands and it'll say these are good and those are bad, but it's good to use an independent tool such as Xscore to match your results and to check your results independently. And Xscore is calibrated from a set of 100 protein ligand complexes, so it does come from experiment, and so it is good to independently manage it. But of course, for Xscore, you need to have the apoprotein with nothing as a PDB, and you've got to have your docked ligand as a mol2. So use Babel to do the conversion. Once you've got your docked ligand, use Babel to convert it to a mol2, and then you can score it using Xscore. Okay. I just want to remind you of a procedure we've gone through for molecular docking. After preparing the ligand and after preparing the protein, this is, of course, the Autodock interface that you're now familiar with. Okay. Right, and we've been through the tools for working with the protein. I tend to use the upper layer for working with the protein and the lower layer for working with the ligand. So you will open your protein and sort your protein out. You'll have your ligand, sort your ligand out, and you have them both open in the workspace. Okay. Then, of course, we haven't done flexible docking. We don't have residues in the protein that are flexible, but I want you to be aware that you can have flexible residues. I won't expect you to try this, and really it's about knowing your protein, knowing the active site of the protein. If you know there's a residue that would block entry to the ligand, you might want to make it flexible so that that side chain can accommodate the ligand within the protein. Okay. But of course, you go to the grid menu. To set up the grid, you're going to choose a macromolecule if it's open. And of course, you will also set the map types. Now, what I recommend is that if you don't open, if you've already set up your ligand, you don't need to set it up again. And we found a workaround for some systems where things have gone really bad. The workaround is to not open the ligand if it's already set up using the ligand menu, but at this point on the grid, when you come to macromolecule, you can open, when you go to set map types for the ligand, you can open the ligand at this point. If you set map types by opening the ligand, then sometimes that gets around some of the corruption that happens to the name when you open it using the ligand menu. Okay. And of course, you've got to output, you've got to save it as a grid parameter file. Okay, so the grid menu, we work top to bottom in that. And then of course we run AutoGrid, and I've shown you our strategy for running AutoGrid. Then of course, we go to the docking menu, and of course we go through the menus to the macromolecule and the ligand, search parameters, docking parameters, and the output is a Lamarckian genetic algorithm. You save it as a docking parameter file, and you then have a docking parameter file to run. And of course, you can set up docking parameters, and particularly if you're using this in your work, I really recommend that the number of genetic algorithm runs you run is greater than 10 for, so I often will run 150 separate runs, and it takes a long time to do that docking, a really long time, but then I know that the result is reproducible. Okay, if you do 10, you can't be certain you're getting the correct pose just from 10 tries. Okay, and of course, you save the docking parameter file, use that Lamarckian genetic algorithm. Okay, please note that when you do that, this is what that file looks like. Okay, so it has a lot of things in it. So you'll see, for instance, the number of runs. If you do ask, instead of 10, if you ask 100, then if you open the docking parameter file in Notepad++, you will see things like this. Okay, so what happened yesterday was there's some Autodock runs that didn't quite run properly. And one way I troubleshooted troubleshooting that issue was I was looking at the docking parameter file. And if you have a look at it, there must be a lot of, so we must have all of these things set up in the docking parameter file. And I think in the docking parameter file, it will also have the names, it will also have an indication of the protein as well. So that'll be mentioned in it as well. Okay. And then of course, from the run menu, you will run Autodock, and that's a nice thing to do. You leave it running on your laptop, on your computer, and then you go and do other project work that you have to do. So it's something that you just need to leave for a long time. Okay. Right. We will try Viner, and if we've got time today, we'll try Viner. If not, we'll try it tomorrow. And Viner is interesting because you have to type a whole lot of things into Notepad to get it to run. And you need to type in what the receptor's name is PWQT, what the ligand's name is PWQT. The output, that's where your docking poses all go to. The log is just to tell you how it's gone. Of course, the center of docking, we know how to get that. And this is the size of a search area. I use about 22 angstrom search area. So box 22 by 22 by 22. Don't worry about energy range at this, but exhaustiveness is about reproducibility, the number of times it's done. The higher this is, the longer it's going to take, the more tries it's going to do. And the more tries, the more reproducible your docking is going to be. So sometimes I've even gone as high as 256 on this, but if those dockings take forever. But of course on the cluster, you can change that CPU equals 8, and then of course the molecular docking goes much faster. But to use Viner, you can from Autodock tools, but I want to show you that you don't have to use Autodock tools. Once you've got your receptor and ligand PWQTs, you can always reuse them. With Viner, you don't have to do the grid, you don't have to do AutoGrid, you just need to edit a file that looks like this with the correct name for your receptor, a correct name for your ligand, and an appropriate name for your outputs, correct centers, etc. And then it's very easy to to run. So I'll create a file called input.viner. Then on the cluster, if the input.viner is there and the PDBQGs are there, I'll just go viner minus config input.viner, and then it will run viner, and that docking will happen. But of course, the output has all poses together. The output has all poses together, and so you have to viner split the output into pose 1, pose 2, pose 3, with the best one, second best one, so on from that. Okay. Right. Just, I want to, those of you having big trouble with Autodock tools, I want to make you aware that you don't have to use Autodock tools at all. I showed you yesterday how we could use prepare receptor minus R receptor, but of course we need to remove molecules as well. So we have to add things to this line. But not only can you prepare your receptor, but you can also prepare the ligand. So this prepare ligand does everything that that ligand menu does for you. And so if you're happy to type this with the correct name of a ligand, you don't have to open Autodock tools to do that. And if you want to prepare your grid parameter file, there's a script that will do it for you. So you can do molecular docking simply by typing this in. Okay. And of course, you don't have to tell it the name of a ligand. You can rather say, well, hang on, my ligand's got these particular atoms in, and you can tell it to create maps for those particular atoms. This helps if you've got many, many ligands, because when you want to prepare your map types, do you have to create map types for every single ligand? Well, take all your ligands and look at all the different atoms that are in all your different ligands. And then what you could do is then you could type down all those different atoms in this list. And then you've prepared map types in one shot for every single ligand you'll ever throw at that protein. And so you don't have to use this minus L ligand.pdqt. You could rather tell it all the atoms in all your ligands. And they, yeah, all the different atom types. And there can't be very many different atom types. So typical organic compounds will have carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, maybe sulfur, for instance. And of course, the carbons may be aliphatic or aromatic, etc. And so the list will be very short that you have that will accommodate every single ligand you throw at the protein. So that's how I work, is that when I do docking, if I want to do 5 dockings, I'll prepare the grid one shot for all my ligands. And then I've got my grid set up, and then the docking will, and then of course you run AutoGrid to generate those maps. Okay, and that's AutoGrid minus P for a parameter file. That's the grid parameter file, minus L for the log file, grid.glg. Okay, and of course, then you can prepare a docking parameter file. You can prepare a docking parameter file in the same way, and you can get ready for molecular docking in that way. Okay, so you can really nicely use Autodock just by typing on the cluster. Okay, just what I sometimes do on the cluster is I have a template, and in my template, this looks like the docking parameter file, but of course, you see what I do is I can change the number of runs from 10 to 100, and then every time I run the script, I always add the -i template.txt. So if this is template.txt, I add -i template.txt, and it will then have my 100 runs. And so every time I run the script, it'll prepare me for 100 GA runs. And so I can then be absolutely sure of all the parameters for my molecular docking. Of course, when you come to writing the paper where you've got your results, you'll want to put down how the docking was run, and so you'll mention some of these parameters in the method in the paper that you've got. And so if you've got a template that stores some of the common parameters you're always changing, then it makes it very easy to transfer that information to a paper. Okay. just if you're interested in flexible receptors, so I've got an interesting case of a protein I keep coming back to, where uh, aspartic acid number 25 on both chains, arginine number 8 on both chains, I like to make flexible. And so what I do is I use scripts, or I use a menu in Autodock tools, and I ask for both AS25s and anything that has ARC8 in it to be made flexible. And of course, it outputs, it says it's a rigid part of a protein, it says a flexible part of the protein. And then, of course, the grid, when you do the grid is set up with the rigid and the flexible, and the docking is set up with the rigid and the flexible. And then it just allows flexible residues during docking. Of course, in Autodock Violet, you can also have flexible residues. Okay. But I think let's concentrate on getting rigid docking working before we go to flexible docking. Okay. And then finally, you can run Autodock from the command line. You do Autodock for parameter file dockings and the log file dockings.lg. And then, of course, we can also extract. We can extract from the docking log file the best ligand from it, because the dockings will have many poses. You can extract the best pose from it, and you can convert it to PDB. There are scripts that will convert to PDB. So you can do everything. What I'm trying to say is that if you're brave, try to move a little bit away from Autodock tools. See if you can do at least one or two of the tasks on the cluster using the scripting. And you'll see that maybe if you're doing lots of docking, you'll probably find that you'll prefer to type the commands in the long run. Okay. And one thing I want to do today is I want to have a look and open the log file and give you one other tool, other way that you can evaluate your docking. So we've done redocking, and with our redocking, what we have done is we trying to see whether when we dock it back to the active site, whether it matches the co-crystallized ligand. That's one way we can evaluate it. Another way we can evaluate the docking is looking inside the docking log file using Notepad++. If you scroll down through pages and pages of data in that log file, you eventually come to a histogram that looks like this. And you can see in this case, I think I've done about 100 dockings. And you'll notice that of that 100 docking, of those 100 docking, you can see 85 of them, or even more of them, 85 of them are ending up with that lowest energy. You can see. And then, or 83 of them, 9 of them are ending up with the second best energy, and just a couple with the highest energy. What that's telling me is that, yes, I've done 100, I've asked for 100 separate GA runs on that docking experiment. Of those 100 runs, 83 are giving the same result. So this is telling me that my docking is highly reproducible. So if I'd only done 10, maybe I'd only have got 2 there and several ones. I wouldn't have proved the reproducibility of the docking. But by increasing the number, by increasing it to 100 runs and having a long experiment, and then looking at this histogram, you can see 83 of them are coming to the lowest energy conformation. And so I can be quite confident of the docking if 83 out of 100 are ending up at that lowest energy. Okay. Are there any questions? Okay. If there are no questions, then can we meet back in 15 minutes time? So let's meet at 20 minutes to 10. Okay. For the practice session. Any questions before I sign off? Okay, just before I sign off, is there anyone who's Is there anyone who's having lots of trouble, who's willing to share their screen? Think about it, because in the next session, I'm happy to share a screen. Bridget?
Yes, I'm happy to share my screen because I have those error messages popping up on Autodock.
Okay. So those of you who are interested, would you be prepared to share it now, maybe?
Let me check.
Yeah, so those who are interested, don't feel you have to stay, but if you're interested in troubleshooting, please hang on, and let's see what's happening with Richard's work.
Okay. Ooh.
Okay. Do you have a button that allows you to share your screen?
Let me check.
Yeah. Just check on the Zoom menu. Yes, I have on this end allowed. Okay, there we go. Thank you. It might take a little while for everyone to see. There we go. We can see your screen. Fantastic. And so Autodock Tools is coming up. Okay. Yeah, it sometimes takes a while for that. Please do register if you can at some point.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
Where was I? Yes. I forgot.
Yeah. Okay. So if we can just set the preferences.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, must I do the one that we were doing yesterday, the one for again because I have a problem?
The one that causes problems.
Okay.
Okay, so you're busy opening the ligand. Okay. Yeah, PDBQT is perfect. It's already been set up, which is fantastic. So we've got it 5-RFE ligand. That's perfect. Okay.
Yes.
Right. And if we can just open the protein perhaps as well. Don't worry, you've already set up the ligand. It's already PDBQT, so there's nothing more we have to do. So can we go to the file menu or the open menu at the top and just open the receptor?
This one?
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
Must I open this?
No, the protein, the apoprotein. So you've opened 5-RFE ligand. So can we look for 5-RFE apo?
The one with PDBQT.
PDBQT is fine. 5-RFE apo PDBQT. That's 5-REY. Here we go. That's perfect, yeah. Okay, so that is fantastic for both of us. So can we just quickly go to the grid menu? Macromolecule, choose. Oh, so that's the problem. So if you have this problem where the ligand has been renamed, can you just dismiss this for a moment? dismiss this. Okay, so what I want you to do is to right-click on the ligand on the left where it says 5-RFE ligand XTB. On the left, just right-click, not on the plus, but on the ligand itself.
Yes.
No, on the words, on 5-RFE ligand XTB. Click on the words, right-click on the word. There, perfect. Right-click and just delete. Right, because there's a corruption in the name that we need to get around. So now can we go back to the grid menu? Macromolecule, let's choose. Select the macromolecule, perfect. Select it, there's nothing selected. You need to actually click on it to select it, okay. Okay, grid, macromolecule, choose, select it, and then select molecule. Just go yes, it's fine. Okay, perfect. And the color will change to show it's all set. There we go. Right, now go to grid, set map types. And can we open ligand now? And it's the XTB ligand, 5-RFE ligand.xb1 above. There we go. Perfect.
This one.
Yeah, perfect. There's your ligand. And so what we've done is we opened at this point to sort it out. Okay. And so now everything is fine. Now grid. Grid box. So do you know where the XYZ coordinates are for this?
Yeah, I know them by heart now.
Okay.
I forgot.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot this one. It was 16 something.
Yeah, just put a number in. We can always change it. We can always redo it. It looks about right. Okay, and file close, saving current. Okay, and so then now if you go to run, run AutoGrid. Okay, browse for the parameter file name. Okay, we haven't saved it. Sorry, apologies. We haven't saved grid parameter file. Just cancel here. Apologies. Cancel. Grid. Output. Save GPS. Apologies. And let's just, it's 5-RFE. Redoc. .gpf. Type .gpf. .gpf. Yeah, perfect. Save. Perfect. So it's got the GPF, so it'll recognize. Now when you go to run AutoGrid, browse, it should be directly there. There we go. We can see it directly. Okay. Just select it and open. Yeah, either double click or select and open. And we don't need inverted commas because I can't see any spaces in any of the path for parameter file name or log file name. But so let's browse for AutoGrid 4. Yeah. There is a way to make it that you don't have to browse for AutoGrid 4, but it's about adding the path to computers. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I show you, before you do anything, can I just ask you to click in the path right at the top where it says Autodock 4.2.6? Don't click on that. No, click in the square itself. No, in the blank, just at the end of it. Yeah, there. Just click there. Click there. Right. Can you Control C to copy or right click copy?
I did.
Okay. Right. I'll show you what to do with that later. Right, now select your order grid. Order grid, open. Okay, and now you can launch. Okay, so we've got a problem here. Okay, so can you close this for a moment? Let's try a couple of things.
There's a space in the file path there, Prof.
Sorry, what was the problem?
There's a space in the file path for
Okay,
autogrid.
so can we go back to run? Can we go back to run? Autogrid. Is there space in the file path?
You see program files as two separate
Yeah,
files.
okay. That doesn't often cause problems, but can we try that? No, put the space back. Put the space back. What you've got to do is put inverted commas right at the front. Before the C. One, use the arrows not after the C, but before the C. No, not there. Right at the front. Yeah, put inverted commas there. And then go right to the end. Put inverted commas there. Just, okay. And then press enter at that point. Okay, and then launch. Let's see if it works. Okay, so that's okay. Stop for a moment. Just close that. I need to see what else we have. I'm going to want to try two things. Just close that error message. Can I ask that we try put inverted commas with the parameter file, just in case? So put inverted commas around the C and there. Okay, and press enter. And then put inverted commas at the end of the log file name. And press enter. Now try and launch. There we go. So it's those inverted commas are absolutely essential, even when in some cases you don't have the name. So so this is fantastic. Can you open the directory in File Explorer? Can you just leave that going? Don't close it. What I want you to do is open. You didn't X that, did you?
Did I do what?
Okay. What I want you to do is I want to go to browser in Windows. I want you to go to the directory where everything is saved. I want to look at the files that are in that directory. Okay. Right. So no, I want you to go to your own files, the PDBQT. Where are the PDBQTs? Yeah. Perfect. So are these the new maps that are created? I think that's fantastic. Can you see the aromatic map, A.map, the C.map, the D.map, etc.?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Now, a quick thing for you to do is, can I ask you to right click on this PC? Can you see right at the left, it says this PC? I want you to right click on this PC and just go properties. I think this is the right place. Let me just remind myself. Right, can you go to advanced system settings? Right, can you see environment variables there?
Yes.
Okay. Right, can you see path?
Yes.
Click on path. And I want you to go edit. And just hang on a moment. Can I just go edit? Go no, hang on. Go new. Go new. and just Control V at this point. Perfect. And go OK. I hope this is right. You can test it. There, that's perfect. Go OK now. Okay, go OK. And now I'm going to test it. I want you to press the Windows key and R together, the letter R together. Windows key and R, both at once.
Oh.
Windows key plus R. Or here's another thing you can do instead. No, just close that. See on your taskbar, you can say type here to search. In type here to search, I want you to type CMD. CMD.
CN.
No, CMD. There, command prompt. No, CM. No, not CN, but CMD. And can you see that command prompt at the top? I want that command prompt. So open it. And can you type Autodock 4? Enter. Perfect. So that means that what the change we've done is successful. Go back to Autodock Tools. And go to Run. Run AutoGrid. So what has happened is that where it's program path name, can you just program path name, can you select and delete everything that's there except autogrid4.exe. Don't browse, but type in there. I want you to delete everything except what we had before, which was autogrid 4. Okay. Okay, delete everything, and we'll type it again. And just type Autogrid 4. Which means that you never have to browse now because we've set the path, it knows where to find. And put .exe, sorry, autogrid4.exe. Yeah. Perfect, and go launch, and you'll see it'll run directly. See, it runs perfectly. You only have to sort out the inverted commas for the other things now. So when you use Autodock or Autogrid, you don't have to worry about that field because we've set the environment variables on your computer so it knows, your computer knows where to find Autodock and Autogrid. Okay,